Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. So, this week, someone wrote in, do you think that being loyal is harder today than it has ever been before because of the amount of accessibility at the touch of a button? It's a very interesting question. And essentially, what they're talking about is dating apps, social media, things of that nature. Now, here's my answer. No. No, I do not. See, the thing is, at the end of the day, if somebody wants to not be loyal, then they just won't be loyal. It doesn't take much for someone to go to a bar or a nightclub, depending on what era we're talking about, and have access to whomever we want. And I mean, granted, at the end of the day, if we really think about it, the world's oldest profession was prostitution. So what does that tell you? If somebody doesn't want to be loyal, it is easily available everywhere for them not to be. The idea that social media and dating apps are the cause of loyalty not being a priority or top of the list, I think is total bullshit, to be quite honest with you. I think rather it has a different effect because of social media, because of dating apps. It shows more the people that we are rather than how loyal we can be. Because if we can be loyal with these so-called distractions or accessibilities, then it's more real, right? But if we're with someone because of the lack of options rather than them being the right person for us, well, that definitely says a lot about us. What are we doing with this person to begin with? We're obviously being selfish, and that's extremely rude, if you ask me. Because you're giving someone this false idea that we're together because you're the one, because I love you, because you're the most specialist person in the world for me. But in reality, you're just the most specialist person I could find at the time being, meaning that if by any chance the BBD comes along, and if you're not familiar with that, it's the bigger, better deal, this person's going to be left in the dust. Or maybe in the terms of like loyalty and cheating, if the person that we're with doesn't satisfy all our needs, then we go looking else places to satisfy the needs that are missing. And then cheating happens. And that could be physically, it could be emotionally, and emotional cheating is really a thing, okay? Because if you would rather talk to someone else than your partner about things that are going on in your life, as well as things going on with your partner, that's a problem. Because these are the things that you should be open and honest about with your partner. I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago that I mentioned, where was I going with this now? Oh, yes. I mentioned talking about like dating projects and then, somebody being closed off, not wanting to share. This is essentially the same thing, right? We close ourselves off to our partner and then go elsewhere looking for someone to give us that emotional support and to share our lives with, when essentially that's what we're supposed to be doing with our partners. And these are all telltale signs that it's like, hey, wait a minute, maybe you're not with the right person. And it's social media and dating apps that are shining a light onto this. So it's not the problem that social media and dating apps have created. They're just tools. That's all that they are. They're just tools. If I handed you a hammer and I said, hey, go build a house, and you take that hammer and you smash yourself in the head with it, well, that's not the proper use of a hammer now, is it? Are you going to blame me and say, hey, wait a minute, why did you give me a hammer for? Clearly I shouldn't have clearly you shouldn't have a hammer. You smash yourself in the head with it. But if you don't use tools correctly, then yeah, they could be destructive. They could do damage to things, but it's not the tool's fault. It's the user's fault, you know? And a lot of people, they want to use social media, dating apps, and the like as their scapegoat. They want to use it as their reasoning behind doing nefarious things. And it's like, hey, listen, wait a minute. Nobody told you to, slide into some girl or guy's DMs. Nobody told you to go online on a dating app and to meet someone new. That's your doing, and you're doing it behind your partner's back. The fact that these tools are for everyone and are accessible by everyone makes you more of an idiot for doing it, because guess what? Now everybody knows and other people can see what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, no, it is not that social media and dating apps are the reasoning behind loyalty issues. I mean, here's the thing. Follow me on this. If you are not familiar, there's a song from the 70s. I keep getting it mixed up with a few other songs. Oh, crap. If you like pina coladas, do me a favor. Go Google it, go on YouTube, listen to the song, and follow along with the lyrics. This is very interesting. Again, this is a song, I'm pretty sure it's from the 70s. Could be early 80s, but I'm pretty sure. You know what? Let's just check. We can do this quickly, right? If you like pina coladas. 1979. So, yeah. Right there, right? Full lyrics. So if you actually look at the lyrics of this song and read them, you know what? Why don't I just do it for you? If you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga and you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape, then I'm the love you've looked for. Write to me and escape. So this is essentially an ad that the person put into a newspaper. The beginning of the song starts with, I was tired of my lady. We've been together too long, like a worn out recording of a favorite song. So it's a man who's tired of being married, and he's putting an ad in a newspaper to find a new partner. Okay. So I wrote to the paper, took out a personal ad, and though I'm nobody's poet, I thought it wasn't half bad. And then if you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, blah, blah, blah. So I waited with high hopes, and she walked in the place. I knew her smile in an instant. I knew the curve of her face. It was my own lovely lady, and she said, oh, it's you. Then we laughed for a moment, and I said I never knew. So he takes an ad into a newspaper to find another partner, and who responds to this ad? His own wife. Now, obviously, that's like serendipitous in this whole idea of, music and storytelling. But this is in 1979. So it clearly has to be based on something, right? I'm sure we can assume safely that in the 70s and 80s and maybe even 90s, actually, I do believe that did exist. Now, I was born in the 80s, so some of this, is a little bit past my time. But nonetheless, people took out personals in the newspaper to try and meet someone, which is like, I don't know, online dating, just without the online part. And then in that song, just proves the point that people cheated on each other. Both the band taking out the personal in the newspaper and his wife responding to a personal in the newspaper. His name wasn't in it. She had no idea who she was meeting, which makes it even more weird because there was no pictures involved back then, right? You're literally going based on a written description of whatever the person wrote. You know, I like long walks on the beach, etc., etc., etc. But that existed back then. It existed back then. The whole idea of like cheating and you know, looking for people in other ways aside from like going to bars and clubs and just like meeting somebody. So, no. Anything that's happening today isn't new. It isn't just recently discovered. This isn't a new problem that we have. No. This has been going on for God knows how long. And that's just a glimpse from the 70s. Who knows what kind of other things existed in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 30s and the 20s. Again, prostitution being the world's oldest industry or profession. So if anybody wants to blame social media for their relationship ending, no. Blame yourself. Or blame your partner if your partner did, you know, something nefarious and you caught them. Maybe you should be thanking social media for catching them. But again, people don't see it that way. They need to point the finger somewhere. And a lot of times, when it comes to loyalty and issues within a relationship, the finger needs to be pointed at ourselves. Even if we're not the ones that necessarily did something. Because did we have an idea that this person was going to be that type of person? And I say this based on those who come to me for advice. Because when I start to talk to them and get a bit of a history, or like their dating history or the history of their relationship, the same things that come out in the beginning are the same reasons why they're coming to me, you know, later on. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. So, you know, this person is talking to you in a certain way. This person is treating you badly. How was it in the beginning? How was it when, you know, the two of you met for the first time and started dating? And then they proceed to tell me, and funny enough, it's exactly the same. The only difference is like in the beginning, they overlook these red flags because of the qualities that they see in this person that they like. And as a lot of us do, when we see a bunch of qualities in a person that we like, we start to ignore the bad things because we get excited. And we're like, hey, wait a minute. I actually found someone that has these things that I'm looking for and that likes me. Like, this is amazing. This is great. But we always forget about the things that we don't like or don't want in a partner. And forget the fact that people are whole. So if somebody has bad qualities to them, you can't just wish them away. It's still a part of who they are. And I find that a lot of people that do come to me for advice with relationships, that this is a problem because these qualities existed from day one, but they're just starting to bother you now after the exciting phase, after the honeymoon phase. Now that we're talking about long-term and being serious, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't realize that my partner was so jealous. I didn't realize that my partner was so vulgar in the way that they talked to me and the way that they treated me. I didn't realize that they were mean. I didn't realize that they threw tantrums when they didn't get what they wanted. But they've been doing it from day one. And then, I don't know if you remember, if you haven't, go back, listen. I don't remember which episode it was, but I tell the story of the scorpion and the frog. The frog knows exactly what the scorpion is. The scorpion just convinces him otherwise. The scorpion's still a scorpion. And that's exactly the same case that's happening here, where people are telling you exactly who they are, and you're just ignoring it because you're you know, either mesmerized by the packaging or just so happy that somebody likes you that has a bunch of qualities that you're looking for, and you just ignore the bad ones, or think that they're not going to matter, or think that they're just going to go away. And then, at some point, you're either going to come to somebody for help, or you're going to start looking elsewhere, or they're going to start looking elsewhere. And then, obviously the logical is social media, online dating, things of that nature. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Because I think that I put out a very logical argument. And because of these availabilities and distractions, maybe what it's actually doing is creating stronger relationships, because we're realizing that since I have such easy access, me being a single guy, you being a single person, since we have so much access to all different kinds of people, maybe I can find someone that I truly want. Maybe the special person that has all the qualities I'm looking for and the qualities that I don't want is out there. Now, something about online dating. The benefit of it is that it literally introduces us to people whom we may not normally see in our regular daily lives. Because if you think about it, human beings, we are creatures of routine. We hang around the same people. We go to the same places. We work at the same place, the same job. So rarely are we being introduced to new circles. And this is like obviously speaking to older people. Well, how else are you supposed to, introduce yourself to new circles? Well, you can go out, but you're going to go out with your friends, and you're going to go to places that you would probably like. And if you're going to places that you probably like, it's places where other people who like the same things as you are going to go to, which granted I say is fantastic for meeting someone, because you're at least in a place where, people are doing the same things as you and that you enjoy. But if it's all that you were doing and all that you were frequenting, then the people there are probably going to be very similar, if not the same. And then there's online dating, which literally just introduces us to all kinds of new people that might even live down the street from us and have some differences, but maybe some similarities. So using these things as the right tool can improve our lives. And I do believe that it is these tools that are creating stronger, more loyal relationships as opposed to the opposite, destroying relationships. Because a dating app, a social media website or app, friends, family, coworkers, TV, movies, none of these things can destroy our relationships. The only thing that can destroy our relationships is us. That's it. The person you're in the relationship with and yourself. And as I say to most people that do come to me with issues, I thank you for coming to me. I appreciate you coming to me. But don't you think that you should be expressing these issues with your partner? Because that 90% of the time will solve everything. Sitting your partner down and having a conversation. Not getting mad at each other, not yelling, trying to be as civil as possible. And I know sometimes that can be hard, depending on the person we're talking to, depending on the person that we are. It can be hard. But sitting people down in a calm manner, bringing up your issues, your grievances, etc. 90% of the time, things are either misunderstandings or can be explained away. A lot of people just don't do it. They go talk to their friends. That's the beginning of the end. Take my word for it. Either talk to a professional, and I'm not even considering myself as a professional. I'm a coach, you know. Go to therapy if you need to go to therapy. Go talk to a psychologist if you need a psychologist. Me, I put myself literally on like the first rung of the ladder of options, you know. But I'm just going to end up telling you that you should probably talk to your partner about your issues. And granted, if they're hard-headed and they don't want to listen to you, well, guess what? Part of that is, are you with the right person? Because clearly they, you know, don't want to acknowledge you or listen to you. And part of that is, like, what do you do at that point? If someone doesn't want to listen to you or hear you out or see you for who you are you with the right person? I don't know. I do not know. So let's wrap this up into a nice little bow. I'm just making sure my notes. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are absolutely wonderful. If you know anybody that could benefit from these podcasts, please share. It's the least that I can do is ask. If you by any chance have a question or want to write in and ask me a question like this week's episode, feel free. Go to joeyfrancis.com. That's JoeyFrances.com. And there you will see, well, everywhere where this podcast is available. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music and you want to watch me on YouTube, that's a very easy switch. And vice versa. There is also a box where you can write to me directly and ask me a question in which I will respond to you. Or, like this week, create an episode around the question. You can also buy my books there. Shameless plug. I have to, because a lot of the stuff that I talked about today are from my book, Fate is Bullshit, A Logical Guide to Happiness. So if you need a logical guide to happiness, I suggest you have a look at that book. There's even an audiobook and an ebook. That's pretty much it. Let's see. What's my tagline again? I wrote it down. Remember, love yourself first and make decisions that honor who you are. Or remember, love yourself first and let your inner wisdom lead the way. One of those two things. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I wish you a lovely week and weekend. Until next time.